We have to keep the blade of truth sharpened if we're going to see through the devil's illusions. And make no mistake about it, the illusions of the devil, these illusions of grandeur, they're all just part of the devil's plan to entice you into the material luxuries of this life. You see, the luxuries of the devil are a lie. They're not real, okay? They are actually something that are just illusions in your mind. And in order to know whether or not you're falling into a temptation or a vanity form of sin, let's say, if you're falling into some kind of form of vanity or some kind of form of greed, there's going to be certain signs to look out for, and there's going to be certain indications that that's going to be the case. But ultimately, you have to keep, like any kind of weapon or resource or tool, you've got to make sure that you're up to date on that. You know, if you're using like a chainsaw or something, for example, if you don't have a sharp chain on that chainsaw, you're not going to be able to cut the trees down or the limbs or whatever you're doing with the chainsaw. And you got to make sure that certain tools are oiled properly. You know, you got to, if you have a gun, anybody that owns a gun knows that you've got to make sure that it's oiled properly so that it doesn't rust or anything like that. There are certain mechanisms that you have to work through and go through to make sure that the tools and the resources and the weapons that you have are going to actually be of some kind of form of utility. Because if you don't, then there's going to be a point in your life where you're going to need those tools, you're going to need that weapon. And if you don't keep the blade of truth, for example, sharp, because Yeshua said that he came not to bring peace but a sword, then you're going to be fighting evil with a dull truth. And any kind of dull truth is not going to pierce through the illusions that the devil is trying to lay before you. You see, the devil wants you to believe that you're not really as capable as you are and as you can be to actually have the courage and the boldness to move forward. This is a cold world. There's no doubt about it. Everybody knows that this is a cold world. But at the same time, there can be so much warmth, joy, prosperity, abundance, and affluence to be had in your personal life and just in your relationship to the Most High, because there's so many people that misunderstand, and I think also they underestimate their true capacity to live to the fullest degree as a human being. When you underestimate the capacity that you have to live as a fully functional, well-suited, physically, spiritually, emotional human being that you are, because you are an interdimensional being at the end of the day, where we are basically, think about this, we are basically in a cobweb of information at this point. And so everything is connected to one another, and everything and everyone is connected to everything and one another. You see, I've had consultations with people all over the world at this point, and even in the Regal Change Academy, we've got people from Australia, Italy, Germany, etc. And something that I've noticed is that we're really not so different, okay? We're really not as different as the world wants to make it seem like we are. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's important to have a country of some sort, because a country in many ways is like a name. It's something that you're more a part of. It gives you more of a solid identity and a cultural identity. And that is something that the devil wants to strip away from you, is your identity. And one of the ways that he does that is by making sure that your sword of truth is dull. If your sword of truth is dull, you don't have a mental focal point of origin within you to see, okay, this is where I'm going, this is where I want to go, this is what I need to get to this destination. Because if you don't have a destination, it's almost like you're operating on just a whatever algorithm in your mind. And your mind is made up of thought algorithms. Whether you want to believe that or not, your mind is operating like a computer. And if you can see that your mind is operating as a computer, then you're noticing that Okay, so all of these thoughts that I have, if I tell myself, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not really able to do that, I'm worthless at that, I'm not, I don't deserve that, etc., etc., etc. Those are thought algorithms that you are putting into your mind and that you're reinforcing. And so it's about changing how you think about yourself and how you really self-talk in general. Because this is, again, the luxury of the devil is material success or clout or status or whatever. You need to have a certain number of followers or subscribers in order to be successful or in order to be worth listening to, right? And that's not the case at all. In fact, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's some construction going on outside my door. It's also pretty cold out, so I don't know why they're doing it right now, but it's pretty chilly. But anyway, the luxuries of the devil are an illusion because he wants you to be stripped of your identity. He wants you to worship yourself while simultaneously not knowing who you really are. So it's this idolization of the self, but it's only a figment of your imagination. What you really need to focus on is how to visualize where you want your life to go. There was a time when I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how I was going to get there. In some ways, I knew my destination, but at the same time, I really didn't. I really didn't know that destination because I didn't have a relationship to the Spirit. I didn't have a relationship to the Most High. I didn't have a relationship with the source of creation. And so I was realizing through time that I was worshiping and idolizing, in some senses of the imagination. I was idolizing these forms. Like Plato has talked a lot about forms, right? Plato had these ideas called forms, and basically what the form was is there's a archetypal form of something. So there's like the form of a chair. If I say, think about a chair or think about an elephant, in your mind, there's going to be a form of a chair or a form of an elephant, and it exists in this kind of ethereal place, right? It's kind of this timeless space where you might have an image and a form of something that we both know is an elephant, for example, but it's not quite going to be the same as mine, even though we both know what we're both talking about, and we both know that we're both talking about an elephant. Your image and the form of the elephant may be different from mine, but there is a level higher in that when there's almost a form of elephantness, you could say. And so this form of elephantness is the iconic, complete form of an elephant, and it exists in the ethereal. It's never going to be actualized in the physical, but we're always going to be striving to get to that form of elephantness if we're elephants, right? So this is something to think about as Satan wants you to worship that form. He doesn't just want you to visualize it. He wants you to worship it, because when you worship the image of whatever it is in your mind, what you're actually doing is you're actually projecting a potential form of energy and worth of energy onto something that doesn't necessarily exist here in the physical. Everything in the physical sprouts into the imaginative and the ethereal, you could say, realm. I don't necessarily like using that term, but you know, for simplicity's sake, let's use those for now. But everything starts here, and the earth is kind of like this sprouting place for everything to blossom into something more. And it's almost like earth is the workshop for Yahuwah. It is the workshop of workshops in the whole universe. That's the best way to think about it, I think. And the reason for that is because when you actually realize this, and when you actually realize that there's definitely more substance and there's more fruitful, not only ideas, but actual materials that you can create yourself as a co-creator of the universe, because we are made in God's image, right? According to the Bible, that's what the Bible says. Male and female, they were created in the image of God. Well, why is that exactly? Well, it means that this universe, this whole universe, is a workshop of imagination. The whole universe is a workshop of imagination, and the devil wants you to worship not the creation, or he wants you to worship the creation and not the creator. It's almost like, for when I was younger, I was worshiping the creation and I was worshiping the things or the people more than the actual creators or the creationists of the thing. Creationists? Is that a word? I don't know. I don't know why, for example, but you guys see my point. My point is that Mona Lisa, for example, the painting of Mona Lisa, we can admire the painting, we can be in awe of the painting, but the creator was who created it was more impressive, because it's not just that the creation is amazing and beautiful, because it is, but it's the creator. And I'm not idolizing Leonardo da Vinci here. I'm just using this as an example, because if you look out in the entire universe here, this entire world, this is basically the Mona Lisa, but for the Most High God, and much more. So when you really think about it, the devil wants you to live in these luxurious illusions, because then you don't actually get to form a relationship to the creator. You just form a relationship with the creation, and you're more attached to your false relationship to the material. Because why? Like, why would the devil want to do that? Well, because it separates you from the power of the Most High. It separates you from Yahuwah. It separates you from truth. And even though Yeshua said, I came to bring not peace but a sword, he means that. He's saying that he's not trying to divide, but he's going to, because he must. Just as much as any kind of book, for example, has separate chapters. It's going to be like that. Like, we have to divide things sometimes. We have to put things in their proper place and bring order to the world. And that's what a lot of people don't want nowadays. A lot of people don't want the order. A lot of people want the chaos, because they don't know how to thrive in life without chaos. They don't know how to thrive. And don't get me wrong, in a lot of ways, chaos is something that it can be very much a utility if you know how to thrive, because this whole world is just a concrete jungle. You're in the forest. You just don't want to believe you really are, because we have all these civilized things going on about us. You know, we have places to go to get food. We don't have to hunt anymore necessarily. We have a lot of time. We have a lot of time, much more time than anybody else, and yet we don't have the means to give us. It's almost like this. How do I say this? It's like, if there's time, we don't have money, and if we have money, there's not a lot of time. That's the way that this world is set up, because if you had both, you'd be able to do amazing things, but the devil doesn't want you to be able to do that. So you have to create ways to do that. And that's why being on the side of the creator is going to be a cheat code to the matrix, because you're going to be operating on a level that is just so beyond the devil that it's not even a competition. Even though the devil is going to attack you, and If the devil's not attacking you, then I would be weary of whether or not you are actually on the team of the Most High. But if the devil's attacking you, then you know that you're following the laws, statutes, and commandments that Yahuwah has placed for us. So with all that being said, if you do want to join the Regal Change Academy in the free Discord, there's a link in the description box below, or the paid academy where we have about 145 members there that you can engage with and get to know. We have weekly Bible sessions and group meetings, as well as a bunch of other resources and classes to take. And then also, if you want to join the free Discord, in that link below, again, it's free. There's going to be some resources there, but you're going to get way more in the paid community. I also want to thank everybody that's been moving from the YouTube platform over to X and Rumble recently. I appreciate you guys. And with all that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.